Hi guys, Freddy here. Welcome back to a modern RPG. And this week I would like to look at this, Eternus Quickstart by Ben Redmond. Now this is a science fiction role-playing game, which is one of my favourite genres of role-playing. I prefer science fiction to fantasy, in fact. I'm not a huge fantasy fan, which is odd for a role-player with Dungeons and Dragons dominating everything. But I definitely prefer science fiction, so I saw this and I picked it up and I looked through it. And my initial reaction was, wow, this is really amazing. It's taking concepts similar to things like fading suns, of an older universe slightly crumbling. It's taking ideas like the Force out of Star Wars. There's various concepts similar to Warhammer 40k, and it's melding all these together into a rather fascinating universe. And I really liked it. But as I've gone through it further, especially preparing for a rules breakdown, which will be coming out on Friday, I've started to find things, the layout of the rules isn't that helpful. It's kind of difficult to find out how to do things. And the proofreading it is terrible. One of the problems with online publishing is that proofreading is now a dying art. Now, in past careers, I've been involved in publishing magazines and books and things. And the thing that I learned was proofreading is all. You need to get it proofread properly, pick up all those typos, spelling mistakes, and things which you thought was easy to understand, which somebody else finds it more complex to. So proofreading is absolutely key in publishing. And this hasn't gone through proofreading. There are grammatical errors in it, there are random characters here, the headings are wrong in places, and that makes it difficult to recommend it, even though I really like the ideas which are in here. It is a quick start, so it's an early version. Hopefully all those will be picked up by the published version, but it's nice to have seen some polish on it. Anyway, let's start looking through. So we've got a credits page here. We're straight onto the contents, and this is where the start of things. You know, the varying between fonts, different capitalization, it just doesn't look cohesive. But anyway, that's a very slight thing. This is a nice bulky book. There's tons of stuff in here. Sort of 62 pages. There's a lot of the background. There's a sample adventure, which I really like. It's a really interesting adventure where the players are sent in to investigate something, and it's not as cut and dried as it is, but it allows you to explore the setting more. Because this is a setting where your characters are basically playing sort of nobles and leaders, rather than just hired mercenaries or something like that. So they have a lot more influence on the world than just your average person. We've got an introduction section with an introductory story, which, if you're trying to pick up all the background, you do need to read through. There's monsters introduced later in the adventure called Grendels, and there's no description for them whatsoever, but they are described in this story. So you kind of had to read the whole thing to understand what the hell a Grendel is, so you can use it in the adventure. We go through that. We've got an introduction. Humankind has conquered the stars. We have spread across the universe and made our homes on endless worlds. We have created vast vessels that carry us across vast distances between stars. We have mastered dimensions beyond space-time and built a city with doors to worlds across different galaxies. You know, this is really high-tech future stuff. But it's not like everybody is a Star Trek type scientist and understands all this thing. The worlds are very feudal. There's nobility, there's a religion, because one of the early explorers gained massive power and basically has become the goddess to the human race and shares her power amongst her priesthood. So we've got the Myriad Kingdoms here, a dark age. It's a dark age across the Myriad Kingdoms. Nefarious forces are acting to disrupt and destroy all humankind has built and to blot out the divine light of the goddess. And it talks about how to play. It has one of the things that I hate about some role-playing games. It's not a games master, it's the Doom engineer. Okay, The D controls all other characters and player characters will encounter. We've got the themes of the setting here, which is very nice, detailing it out in a quick start, so you get the tone of the game instantly. Characters and domains, because the characters are going to be representatives of a domain, and what backup they get from being a noble citizen of that domain. You know, they can call on hirelings, followers, that kind of thing, to help them out, because they have greater influence. So we've got details about a domain here. Operatives, that's what the followers are called. You can call out operatives. Agents, armed forces, politicians. You get access to different facilities. Then we've got the domain reference sheet, which gives you the information on what the domain can do for you. You know, it's got +0 for agents, +1 for armed forces, a 3 reputation, 4 resources, and the different things, the plays it can perform. Then we're on to characters, and it details the player characters for the sample adventure. So we've got background on them, different text, sorcerers, paladins, explorers. Then we've got their character sheets. Now, one of the things which is very different about Eternus is there aren't any skills. What every character uses is what's called plays. So we have the plays here, the standard plays. So request a favor of a character you're interacting with. So your sort of social one. And that's based on your authority. So how much influence you have, your noble status, essentially. So if you are a powerful noble, you'll have a high authority and you'll be able to make requests of people which they're likely to follow. Whereas if you're much lower, you won't have that ability. We've got the Eternus stat, which is your force power, essentially, your magical abilities. Focus, which is your ability to focus on things, mentally to spot things, study things. Physique, how physically strong you are, and training, how well trained you are. And each of the plays rolls one of these attributes. So you can recover, you can discover things, overcome. But then from your actual character as well, you get different plays. So Oliver here has Inspiring Presence. All other PCs gain +2 to any plays this round. So if he activates that and succeeds, everybody else gets +2 to their rolls. Fancy Footwork, Parry, Energy Burst. Then we've got the equipment as well, and these have play modifiers. So your personal force field gives you a +1 to your dodge rolls. Going through the different character sheets. Got the section 2 on gameplay. Now again, where this differs from other games is you make your roll first. So you decide you are going to go on your authority, you make your authority, and you can see how well you've succeeded. And then you can choose from the different plays you have available to your character which one you're going to use. So if there's a certain thing you want to do but you just don't get the skill roll for it, you can attempt something lower. So you never really fail in a roll, you're always doing something. You just don't perhaps happen to activate your most powerful abilities every single round. It's an interesting idea. As we notice, a slight spelling mistake there. One of the annoying errors they've got here is each of the plays that you can do for each ability or each attribute has this underlined title, except Focus, which just has the indent, which makes it look like focus plays are just one of the plays available to your Eternus. Whoops. Once you've spotted it, it's easy to get around it. So we've got training plays, we've got how you narrate them, what modifiers. So the Games Master can introduce modifiers to make your plays more successful or less successful. Bonuses and penalties, basically. Narrating the results. You've got your domain plays, so if you're calling on your domain to do something for you, call in help or use it to influence people. Oh, I'm maybe only a minor noble, but my domain is incredibly powerful, so you want to respect my domain. We've got conditions. So you're standard, you know, you're dazzled, you're disgraced, you're stressed, stunned, wounded. Got favors. These are the kind of force powers. Everybody starts with 3 favor points in every adventure, and you can gain them for doing things like being devoted to the goddess, acts of heroism, doing cool stuff. And then you can spend your favors to gain bonuses, or if you've rolled particularly well, you can call for divine intervention so the goddess will do something for you. You can also do things which lose you favor without actually spending it. It talks through here weapons and armor, talks through combat rules, how rounds work, initiative, all that kind of stuff. It's got non-conflict scenes where the group tends to work together, so everybody's rolling dice and putting them into a pool, and then people are picking out to activate their abilities. So it doesn't matter if you rolled badly. If the party wants you to be able to do something, then somebody else might have made a decent roll when you can activate your ability using their dice, and they will be able to do a lower thing. Role-playing, we've got details about the setting, the history, how the goddess discovered the planet Evam and the ruins of an ancient castle and gained all the magical power she has, or force power, or whatever you want to call it. Talks about traveling around the galaxy, the Eternus, 7 shrines, high sorcerers dedicated to each shrine. And then we've got a sample adventure, a town called Malice, which, as I said, is an interesting adventure because it can be solved very, very easily. The town is being menaced. Do some research, find the source of that menace, destroy it, game over. But there's also a lot of stuff going behind the scenes, which, if you investigate it out, you can find alternative solutions, and just, it's way more fleshed out than an introductory adventure usually is. It's a very nice introduction to the game. I'll skip through that. And then we've got a short index at the back. Now, the artwork throughout is very high quality, but very variable. It looks fairly obvious. If I go back to the credits page, there's a big list of artists, interior art by all these people. So I believe that the art has been bought in from various sources, DeviantArt, wherever. He's got permission to use all this artwork. And I don't think all of it was designed for this game. But it is very nice. It's a very pretty looking game. It's got so many really good ideas in it. I really want to see what he does next. I would love if he would release an updated version of this, just with a bit more polish on it. And I'm definitely interested in seeing what the final game's like. But anyway, that is Eternus. A very interesting idea out there. Let's see where it goes from here. Anyway, I've whittled on for quite long enough as usual. So thank you very, very much for watching. But as always, most of all, you look after yourselves. And I'll catch you later. Bye now.